The Shark Deck.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will be kept at a distance by King Charles and Prince William for the foreseeable future, according to the Daily Beast's sources. A friend of William's told the Daily Beast that William and Kate's opposition to Charles making frequent concessions to Harry would have to be respected by Charles after he used the coronation to make a point of emphasizing their joint responsibility with him for the monarchy and its future direction. The friend of William said, "It's very clear that William and Kate are now extremely important members of the institution, so their view on Harry, which is basically the further away the better, will have to be taken into account. Put it this way, I don't think anyone expects Harry to get an invite to William's coronation." The Sunday Times had profiled what William's coronation might look like. A source close to William, who was reportedly not closely consulted on the planning for Charles' coronation, told the Sunday Times, "There is no way he will go down that route or anything like it. Of course, the prince and his team are reflective about the events of last week, and it is extremely important to him that it evolves to be relevant whenever it happens." He's really thinking, how do we make his coronation feel most relevant in the future? He is mindful of the fact that in 20 years' time, or whenever his time comes, how can the coronation be modern, but also unifying to the nation and the Commonwealth? I think his coronation will look and feel quite different. Courtiers sitting at Kensington Palace coming up with a grand plan about what the next bridge will look like. London Bridge was the code word for the late Queen's death, and Forth Bridge for Prince Philip. No, but of course the prince and his team are reflective about the events of last week, and it is extremely important to him that it evolves to be relevant whenever it happens. He's taking stock, he's thinking, that was a supreme success, and it was because Pa altered things. I've got to be cognizant of how the evolution happens in my day. What is it that stays? What do I need to change? What will our relationship with the realms and the Commonwealth be then? I don't think he'll be taking the filleting knife to it, but he will be checking to see it's sharp. Another separate source, also reportedly close to William, added, "You can see in it how he has taken an investiture off the table and is thinking on how to leave a legacy in communities rather than just going in to do ribbon cutting. You can see in it how he is running an environmental prize with Earthshot that is not just about handing cash out, but about the long-term impact globally. He is thinking about his coronation in the same way." Kate and William shared some behind-the-scenes footage from the coronation. You can find it on their YouTube channel. The 5-minute film, beginning with a montage of the royal family meeting foreign dignitaries at Buckingham Palace and supporters camped out on the Mall the evening before the coronation. We see Prince Louis V and Princess Charlotte VIII preparing to leave home at Kensington Palace on the morning of the service. There was also footage from Windsor on Sunday where the royal children, including Prince George, 9, and seen taking part in Scouts activities, before heading to the royal box for the coronation concert. Cut to William rehearsing for his speech, and then the family climbs the stairs to make their seats for the coronation concert to see Lionel Richie. Over the weekend, Kate Middleton delighted Eurovision fans by showing up to play the piano. Kate played the piano for 10 seconds in a rendition of last year's winning song, Ukraine's the Kalush Orchestra's Stefania. The performance was filmed earlier this month in the Crimson Drawing Room of Windsor Castle. William's feud with his brother probably will not be helped by wills honouring a former aide who accused Meghan Markle of bullying palace staff. Newsweek reports the Prince of Wales performed the investiture ceremony that made Jason Nauf a lieutenant of the Royal Victorian Order. Nauf was named on King Charles III's first New Year's Honours list and was given the award on May 10th at Windsor Castle. Recipients of the Royal Victorian Order are, unlike most honours, chosen by the royal family themselves and not by the British government. It is not uncommon for staff members to receive them. Kristen Meinzer, former co-host of Newsweek's The Royal Report podcast, told Newsweek, "It sends quite a message, William bestowing such high honours on a man who's most famous for taking sides against Meghan Markle. It also makes clear that Jason Nauf's allegiance was always first and foremost to William. As Harry said in his Netflix series, Nauf worked for William before, during and after his time assisting the House of Sussex. And these newest honours scream that William is pleased with that work, however much it may have hurt his brother and sister-in-law." Prince Andrew is said to be refusing to leave Royal Lodge. A friend of Andrew's told The Sun, "This has been his family home for the last 20 years. Is it really sensible to kick him out? He's concerned that now the coronation is over, the knives are out. But we're dealing with human beings, not real estate." Another friend said, "Eugenie, who is Andrew's daughter, is heavily pregnant and her parents expect to have the new grandchild there this summer. Another friend of Andrew's told The Sun, if Charles wants Andrew to play ball and help the family, aren't there better ways of going about it? Why not do the decent thing, sit down and talk? If they leave the house for William, perhaps Andrew should be told. Perhaps William should invite his uncle for tea and explain. Or why doesn't Charles invite his brother for a meeting and ask him if he'd leave Royal Lodge to help his nephew in future of the monarchy, and agree on a schedule acceptable to both sides? Palace Intrigue will be right back. You know, listening to all these going-ons with the royals just makes me want to grab a glass of wine. And thanks to First Leaf, I've always got a quality bottle on hand. Stay with me and I'll tell you how to save 50% on your first order at tryfirstleaf.com. First Leaf is a wine subscription service. See, I don't know much about picking the right wine, so it always takes time to find something I like, and it's a waste of time and money. So with First Leaf, just go online, answer some easy questions about flavors and tastes you like, and in about 5 minutes, you've created your own personalized wine profile. Then your First Leaf personal wine concierge creates a custom package, and this hand-selected delivery arrives at your door within a few days. It's cheaper and easier than going to the store. I have now found a delicious South Australian Shiraz that I love. In fact, I may just order some more now. It's great to reconnect with friends and family over bottles of First Leaf wine, and I'll bet you'll feel that way too. So give First Leaf a try. Head over to tryfirstleaf.com/palace to sign up and save 50% on your first 6 hand-curated bottles plus free shipping. That's first, F-I-R-S-T, leaf, leaf.com/palace to save 50% on your first 6 bottles plus free shipping. tryfirstleaf.com/palace.
I'm Nina Hobson, ex-police detective from the UK. I've worked on every crime mentionable, from murder to kidnap to stalking to fraud. When I left the force, I launched my own investigations firm that soon became a global operation. I'm also a single mother of 2 to 2 members of my team, my son Harrison and daughter Amy. Every week, we'll be getting first-hand accounts from psychological experts, operatives, former criminals, actual victims of the crimes that we investigate, and of course, my very own flesh and blood. From Storic Media, you're listening to Codename Siren, a true crime podcast, available on YouTube and all major podcast platforms.
The Washington Post suggested some royal books. The Palace Papers by Tina Brown starts with Diana's death and ends with Prince Philip's. This collective biography is as much a forensic autopsy as it is a history, wrote the Washington Post's reviewer Alison Stewart. Brown's sympathy for the imperatives of the crown as an institution is balanced by her keen eye for the foibles of those who wear it. Her sharpest criticisms are reserved for one branch of the family in particular. Brown applies a scalpel to most of the royals, Stewart says, but takes a sledgehammer to Meghan. If you aren't coronationed out, try Coronation, a history of the British monarchy by Roy Strong. This is a comprehensive study of how the ritual evolved over the centuries. Strong's book chronicles how various monarchs experimented with, adapted, and at times, in his view, hijacked the rite, resulting in the mixture of religion, history, nostalgia, mumbo-jumbo, and military display. If you're in the mood for a Charles biography, Prince Charles, The Passions and Paradoxes of an Improbable Life by Sally Bedell Smith, or The King by Christopher Anderson, or perhaps Our King by Robert Jobson. Website The Conversation wondered, does British tourism really need the royal family? They share that the royal family does bring tourism to the UK. The Economic Consultancy Centre for Economics and Business Research estimated that the coronation weekend would lead to a £337 million boost from tourism and pub spending. But if the royal family were to disappear, would the UK's tourism industry suddenly implode? 2011 research by Visit Britain found that around 60% of tourists to the UK are likely to visit places associated with the royal family. The USA is the UK's largest tourist market, and American tourists do seem to be fond of things associated with British royalty. Even though royal places are popular, they are far from Britain's most popular attractions. Of Britain's 10 most visited free and paid-for attractions in 2021, none were royal attractions. The highest-ranking royal attraction was the Tower of London, making only 17th on the list. Typically, Chester Zoo attracts more visitors than Windsor Castle or Buckingham Palace. From time to time, we see stories about the King's quirks. His former chef, Carolyn Robb, told OK Magazine, Charles has always had a modest amount of meat in his diet, and everything had to be in season, so no imported strawberries in December. There are things we now understand as being far better for the environment. I'd prepare home cooking with the freshest ingredients. Leftovers would go into a quiche the next day. Scraps that were safe for chickens to eat went into the chicken bucket, and every morning he would go out and feed them. Charles is going to be amazing as king. He's a kind, understanding person who also gets things done. I've never met anyone working so hard yet still find the time to write little notes saying, "Thank you, that was delicious." Yesterday we mentioned the many jobs one could hold in service of the king. Here are a few more via The Guardian. Horological conservator is a great name for clock guy, of whom the royals have a whole team. In 2020, a video was posted on the royal family's Twitter account. Horological conservator Fjorda van den Broek explained that there are 400 clocks on the Windsor Castle estate and he winds them weekly. It takes a full weekend to deal with every seasonal clock change. No wonder one of the team was reported to have suffered a clock-induced repetitive strain injury in 2014. Another job is Lord Great Chamberlain, but there is no point in dusting off your resume. It's hereditary. It's also unpaid. Dating back to the 12th century, the title rotates in a rather confusing fashion, according to a 2019 Freedom of Information request between three noble families. What are you missing? The current Lord Great Chamberlain will be putting the crown jewels on the king at the coronation for a start, not to be confused with Lord Chamberlain of the Household, a dull-sounding part-time role overseeing the conduct and general business of the royal household. It was probably more fun from 1737 until 1968, when improbably the Lord Chamberlain also had the power to censor theatre productions. Baker highlights in his book One Staging Instruction issued to a 1959 Lionel Bart musical production. The builder's labour is not to carry the plank of wood in the erotic place and at the erotic angle that he does, and the Lord Chamberlain wishes to be informed of the manner in which the plank is in the future to be carried. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or your app of choice. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue, and good times.